And the thing is, and Davida has a really good idea here, timing my individual splits and seeing how they average. I mean, obviously you know what they're going to average to.
Yeah.
Because if I finish 12 victories in time. Now the thing is, recently I've been finishing 12 victories in time, resting 30, and then getting about 36 seconds in when the whistle blows. So I'm working on my 13, but I'm not finishing my 13. So I'm off time by about 20 seconds. The kicker is, and that's what makes this problem so fun, Drali finished at the whistle, his 14. I finished my 13 at the whistle. That is ridiculously unlikely to actually have that happen, right? It's more likely that you finish at like 14:37 and then you rest for 23 seconds and it's over. Or you finish, you're coming in and the whistle blows when you're 20 feet out. That's more likely. The fact that we finished as our feet crossed the line, both of us on the same day, that's when I was like, check please. And I'm like, but this will make a fun exam question too, right? So the splits would be interesting. The problem is I'm so hypoxic by 10 I can't remember. Because I can't even count. What I do when I do those, I have a stack of pine cones with me. And when I come across, I take one and throw it over there. And then I run the next one, I throw it over there. People are like, which one are you on? I'm like, I don't know, count the pine cones. Because I can't count. I did the 3,000 meters postal swim on Monday for my buddy Bob. 120 lengths back and forth in the pool. I don't know how the hell I counted it, but I did. I somehow counted 120 because I didn't have no pine cones to move. And I forgot to bring a counter. So I have a hell of a time actually counting when you're exerting energy. So I'd love to do my splits, but that would require A, counting, B, measuring by the, because we're doing it off the clock, right? We leave at 0. I finish, wherever I finish that, I have to add 30 to that and wait till that 30, then go again.
So who's checking?
No, there's one stopwatch we're all working off of.
After 30 seconds.
There's a big timer on the side of the field. We're all referring to that. So I come across, when you come across, you look, and let's say it's 21. I know at 51 I go again. So then I start breathing, get my heart rate down, breathe, get my heart rate down, then I turn to 49, 50, 51, and I take off again. Then I come back. Who's taken Total Fit? Anybody in here taken Total Fit before?
After reading that, I don't think I ever want to. We were
It's a good
talking
answer.
about that, never going to take that class.
It's a good answer. It's a super fun class. Yesterday we did, I'm trying to think what yesterday was. I ran class yesterday because Jenny got sick. We did a core workout for 7 minutes. We held plank for 5. That was fun. A lot of sweating on that one. You ever hold plank for 5 minutes? Super fun. Super fun. So, hey, you done it for a minute. You know what it feels like. You know what it feels like. 3 minutes. It feels like you start shaking, you start filling machine, and then you start sweating. Your nose starts sweating. It's pretty amazing. Plank.
Or when you try to do it lazy and then your teacher comes over and makes you tighten your abs.
Then we go outside. We played soccer for 10, rugby for 10, this thing called 4 corners for 10, which is a sprint interval drill. Soccer for 10, rugby for 10, and then this thing called barf ball, which is kind of fun. It's not any. You break into groups of like 10. Take the ball. Everybody's on the ground except for the person with the rugby ball. They kick it. Everybody's down with their heads down. They go. Everybody pops up, and the first person to get the ball then repeats. So it's an interval drill. It's a way to make interval drills not seem like just running from point A to point B. So it's kind of a CrossFit class, but we focus more on good form than. I'm not gonna slam CrossFit much, but I will slam it a little bit. I was in with a CrossFit dude once, and he's like, I can do 500 pull-ups, and I'm like, really? And he gets up on the pull-up bar and starts throwing himself these pull-ups. I'm like, I can say, stop. Do 10 like me. And I got up and I pulled myself slowly up into a pull-up, held it with my chin above the bar, and then lowered myself back down slowly 10 times. I said, go do 10 like that. And he did 3. And then his arms gave out because a pull-up, a CrossFit pull-up, is not really a pull-up. It's a throwing your body and damaging your spine to get over a bar. And that's when I realized, I'm like, people call Total Fit a CrossFit class, but it really isn't. It's like, it's a cross-training class. It's a ski training class. It's an introduction to rugby class. It's a kind of a soccer class and an ultimate frisbee class. It's kind of this total fitness idea. So I encourage you guys, if you need an HHP 1 credit, it's a fantastic class to take. Nobody's ever taken it in here?
I've taken them like 10 years ago.
10 years ago with Booster? Or was it with Jenny?
No, it was, I was in the gym where they go station to station.
Oh, a circuit training. It's Total Fit is part circuit training as well. We're usually outside though, so we'll circuit train outside usually. So, I mean, it's a great class. And the thing about it is, it sounds insane. And I talked about in your exam how we ran 13 and 14 and you don't have to run that. You run as many as you can. We do an A-B test. We do that in week 2, we do it in week 10, and we see how you change over that time. That's all. And it's interesting the misuse of statistics that is easy to encounter in the healthcare field. We've talked about this before, right? I get my body fat checked. right? And because of where it's checked on my body, mine comes up higher than it should be on average, because they're using a weighted, no pun intended, average, and in a place where I hold fat. So instead of just taking more locations, we get a misleading average. And I talked to Jenny about that. She's like, yeah, that's the way it's done. I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Like, for example, we do biometric screens
Yes.
in my clinic.
Yes.
In the report that we send to the patients, we send them the iron weight, blood pressure,
Sure, all that cholesterol levels, everything.
cholesterol levels and all that. And then their BMI.
Yes.
So yeah, the BMI is the wrong measurement for them to figure out whether they need to work on their weight.
On their weight, yes.
Or, you know, because it's just not calculating their body composition, just going off of their, you know.
Yes. And that, I think, is part of the wicked important deal of you being here. Very rarely do we come to a concrete answer about anything. We've developed tools over the past 5 weeks. We continue to develop tools over the next 5 weeks. But what, guys, give me, Kelly, hang on. What we're developing are these tools for conversation. Now, we just mentioned that BMI is used to make suggestions in people's health. Blind acceptance of that, though, is probably worse than not paying attention to it at all. Because I've told you guys before, I'm borderline overweight on my BMI. Right? I mean, by number, I am. If you simply look at my BMI, I'm borderline overweight. But understanding what that number means in context, which is kind of what this class is teaching. I was watching on the Facebook page people posting about, I can't find a non-misleading graph. I know you can. I know you did. But watching the discussions that arose in trying to find one, listening to you guys teach each other, this is just, it's a biased sample because it's those who use Facebook, but listening to you guys have the discussions, I know we've already won. I know we've already won in watching those discussions, because you're saying, oh, but look, is that bar twice as big as that one, and the data's twice as big as that one, then that means it's a good graph. And then at home, I'm like, yes, I'm on my phone. I hesitate jumping in all the time on those discussions. I chin constantly. But I want you guys to do that discussion, because you're doing it awesomely. And when you go to the doctor, and when you go to the gym, and when you go to the store, you'll take these tools with you, whether you realize it or not. You're becoming more critical thinkers. That was the point of the exam. It was. I know, I'm master. So I know it upsets you when I go, how would you answer the question, how many eggs do you get? Guess what? If you put an answer, you got it right. Because the question was, how would you answer that question? Yeah? Okay. How many of you just said, on average I get 3? That's an answer, isn't it? How many get tied in the standard deviation? There we go. How many of you said you get more in the summer and fewer in the winter? Yep. You see, every one of you took something a little bit different away from that problem. Some of you went with the moving average, the trend of the moving average. Apologies for that typo. I missed that completely. There was a typo in the moving average Word document. I apologize for that. I took it out. I fixed it. But I didn't realize until yesterday when you sent me that email. I appreciate that. Yeah. It sounds like you guys figured it out. There was a reference cell issue in the Word document. I told you to go to D6 or D5 or something, and that was the wrong cell. But it sounds like you guys figured it out because you got the graphs. Did you get the moving average graphs to show up? Then you figured it out. You didn't have to worry. It was me trying to be helpful and trying to be too helpful and then missing the detail of one thing. So that was the chicken example. What would you say? What would you say? And then that sitting down with the graph and with your rulers and measuring the circles. A bit of a pain in the ass, right? A bit of a pain in the ass. But now you know what to look for. You'll see that graph again, and it will probably be sooner than later. You'll see a graph similar to that again. I guarantee it. It's almost inevitable. You have to. Because as human beings, not enough of us are trained not to make those mistakes. That's why I'm excited you're sitting here. We don't become statistics masters in 10 weeks. We become critical thinkers in 5. And we keep critically thinking. And we keep adding to our toolbox. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked. So that was the chicken. It was the chicken, it was the graph, it was the other graph, and it was the victories. And that was the whole exam, wasn't it? There was those 4 questions. Good. Question, as far as like an exam point of view, was it doable in the amount of time I gave you to do it? Like over the course of 3 weeks? Enough time, you had enough time to get into it, crack it open, look at it over the time period?
Yeah.
3 weeks was enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I'll have the next one up by week 8, so you'll have 3 weeks again for the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, Joanne, what's up? My goodness.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know you're gonna probably X Blackboard, which I don't care.
Go ahead.
But for the most part, like, I handwrite everything.
I know you do.
Math is a pencil and paper thing. And then having to go translate it onto a Word doc, or however, is the most annoying, because you're doubling your work. You're doubling your work.
We have now set a new record. I have talked about Blackboard every day for the past 5 weeks. And this is the main reason I'm getting rid of it, honestly. I so much, no, you're welcome, is that what you said? No. See, the problem is, Joanne, you don't have to do that. What you can do is scan your handwritten work and send it in as a PDF. You don't have to put it in a Word document. I mean, what's so interesting is I've now had 2 different students think that I have to have it in Word and have to have it in PDF, and that's the problem with Blackboard. Blackboard should just accept whatever you send it. This is 2014. It should just accept whatever you send it and crack it open. I mean, other software does that. Stop. Stop. I agree with you. I agree. I was trying to simplify the process of you getting stuff to me. Unfortunately, I think I streamlined the process for about 75% of my students, and for 25% of my students, I've made it a hellish experience. And for that, I never expect that to happen. I'm under the impression that all COCC students receive essentially a basic training in Blackboard. Exactly. I'm now finding out that it's not the case, although I thought it was. I mean, it seems strange to me. They have something. What percent of your guys' classes use Blackboard in some component? All? 100%?
I don't know.
Not a whole lot. But you see, the fact that I'm 75 to 100%, I'm hearing an awful lot of 75 to 100 percentages. When I know that. Anecdotally, I knew that without asking. So I think to myself, what's the problem? Everybody uses Blackboard, right? Well, apparently, not everybody submits documents for upload in Blackboard. But think about this. Shouldn't that be even easier? Shouldn't that be... How many of you guys upload documents to the web for whatever reason? I mean, we all do that, right? You attach things to emails, and it's 3 button clicks and you're through. It should be that easy. For whatever reason, whoever the makers of Blackboard are, Blackboard Inc., has decided to make the type of document very limited, which makes our experience very frustrating. So, Joanne, I am with you. I'm with you. I'm taking it away because of that. And, yeah, anyway. So I'm with you. I'm with you. I sense the frustration. 5 more weeks and we're out. We're on the tail end now.
Well, can we submit paper?
No, God, that makes it worse. It makes it worse because I'm still using Blackboard for the rest of this term.
Damn it, you've
Just
committed.
What's that?
I said, damn it, you've committed.
Well, if I change it now, I'm going to create problems for the other 75% that are using it successfully.
Right.
I'm cutting my losses by not cutting Blackboard off. If I cut Blackboard off, I create a whole new series of problems I don't have time to deal with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just let it rest.
Okay. So anyway, the conversation, I know, and Blackboard has nothing to do with statistics at all. It's nothing. It's the end product.
So the first course is having events.
Apparently. Well, it depends on what you're putting on the horizontal axis, right? It depends on what, yeah, so.